Good afternoon. My name is Jim Ake, and I'd like to call the City of Westfield Board of Public Works and Safety meeting to order. It's at 1 p.m. on 5/25/22. Kim, could you call and establish a quorum, please?
Mayor Cook,
Present.
Larry Corino,
Here.
Jim Ake.
Here.
You do have a quorum.
Thank you. Do we have legal counsel online? Jewel?
We do. Yep,
Thank you.
I'm here.
All right, very good. There are no changes to the agenda, and so the first item of business is action item number 1, to approve the minutes from April 27th, 2022. Is there any discussion? Any additions or corrections?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I will second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes of April 27th, 2022 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Action item number 2 are minutes from a special meeting we held on April 26th, 2022. Are there any questions or additions or corrections to those minutes?
I have none.
Make a motion, we approve.
I'll second. Jim Ake. All those in favor of approving the minutes from special meeting April 26th signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved. Thank you. We have a relatively short agenda today, so we have no bid approval items or change orders, so we'll get right down to the contract agreements on action item number 3, Williams Creek Management and City of Westfield Specialty Landscape Maintenance Proposal for the years 2022 to 2024. Travis, Chris, I'm sorry. Chris.
It's all right, I've been called worse. Chris McConnell, Parks and Recreation Superintendent. So before you today for your consideration is a landscape maintenance proposal agreement with Williams Creek Consulting. It covers the identification and eradication of invasive species in all of our native planting areas, which include the entire US 31 corridor, the Freedom Trail Prairie, the East Street drainage swales, Liberty Park wetland, City Services bioswale, and the Mill Street detention basin. And as spelled out in scope of service, they will do 3 times a review of the area to identify invasive species, which include such things as Canada thistle, Phragmites, cattails, and they also will spray to remove them from those areas. And then the cost is spelled out. 2022's cost $53,790, 2023 costs $55,440, and 2024's $57,060.
All right, thank
As
you.
always, I'd like your opinion update on our US 31 project. How's that coming?
I think 31 has established itself quite well. This will help continue it down the road of being a mature, viable prairie and really also act as a habitat for a lot of the animals that live in the area. So 31 couldn't look better, and this will help us keep it looking that way.
Yeah, good. Does this include some of the trees that pop up? Are they cottonwoods?
Yes, this also includes a lot of the cottonwoods, the black willows, any of the stuff that doesn't belong there and that we need to control because it's preventing other native species from growing, as well as creating issues with the drainage function, as well as the storm function along specifically 31, but also in some of the other areas like the Liberty Park wetland.
So as the 31, for example, matures, will that help control invasive species, or will this be something we'll always have to do?
It will be something we always have to do, but more than likely the cost of it will lower as time goes by because the need for chemical control will become less and less as the prairie becomes more mature, it thickens up, and it prevents these steeds and these plants from establishing themselves. So yes, it will be necessary the entire duration of us having it, but it won't be as intensive of a process as time goes by.
Now, last year you didn't cut it, is
Nope.
that right?
That is correct.
And do you intend to do that?
We
this
do. The
Fall,
reason
winter, or
this
what?
fall, late fall, we will cut it. The reason we didn't cut it last year is because we've gotten into a situation We had been cutting it in the winter, so January, February. Our winters have become a lot warmer than they used to be, and they're still wet. So putting heavy equipment in those areas, it's it's kind of a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Because it gets really, with it wet and the slopes, it gets really hard to put equipment on it without causing significant damage. So we didn't do it this year, so we could cycle into the fall when the ground's a little harder after it seeds, and we have a better ability to cut that stuff down without causing damage to the area or damage to our contractors' equipment.
And lastly?
Yeah.
Will you try to keep NDOT off of their own property for us, please?
I'm doing the best I can. Absolutely. We'll keep NDOT off there. As soon as I see them on there, I make the phone call, say, hey guys, you mowed it again. But we'll do our best.
The only thing I'd add is that we need a motion contingent on the addition of non-discrimination and E-Verify language in the contract.
I have one question. Last paragraph, where we have to supply arrows and signboards and all that.
Mhm.
Understand it's a safety issue. How does that cost get figured, and how does that budget in?
That just budgets into our normal manpower. It's something we do on an annual basis for a lot of our contractors, because a lot of our contractors don't have a TMA and they don't have dump trucks. And when we're doing that, and that is specific to US 31, the rest of those items on that list don't require traffic control because they're working
Right.
within just that site. So this is very much specific to US 31, and almost all of our contractors, although they might have an arrow board, they don't have a TMA, which is
What is a TMA?
a TMA is a piece of equipment that you tow behind
Right,
a dump
the-
truck. Yeah, that helps to absorb the impact of a vehicle.
It's a crash attendant.
Yeah, to absorb the crash of a vehicle if that were to occur. And also, most of our contractors don't have a tandem axle dump truck. So they can't provide the required safety measures that are needed per NDOT spec to work within 31's corridor. So it's figured into our normal everyday budget. It takes one person that drives that dump truck,
Okay.
and that's all that's necessary. And we work really hard to schedule that out, so it's not a last minute situation. We're really diligent on our scheduling of it, so it's not taking our guys away from other activities that they need.
And we have all the appropriate liability
Mhm.
coverage and all that?
Yes, sir.
Even though it's state route? So, okay.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
I would so move to accept the Williams Creek contract. I like the 3-year outlook. I think that in this environment, that's a very wise thing to do. I don't know how you get them to do it, but thank you.
Do our best.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Cook, a second by Larry Guarino. All those in favor?
I'm sorry, Jim, this is Jewel. I just want to make sure that that is with the caveat that they add in the non-discrimination and the E-Verify language to the contract.
Yes.
Yeah,
Got that?
Yep.
The contract, John will get you exactly.
Yeah,
what
it's contingent on the addition of non-discrimination and E-Verify language in the contract.
And I will get with Williams Creek today and have that amended so that, and we'll get it taken care of. Okay.
Thank you, Jew.
all right, thank you. All those in favor of the motion before us, as duly presented and seconded, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is the consent agenda and the May bond information regarding performance releases and acceptances, et cetera. Do we have any discussion about those on the consent agenda? I would move to approve the consent agenda, the May bond information as presented.
So moved?
Second?
All those in favor of approving the May bond information in the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Thank you. Department reports. We have fire represented by Chief Gaylor.
How many runs today so far, Chief?
I haven't been counting today.
Oh, you usually
No,
count.
I I've been busy in some meetings and have not had the opportunity to count today. And
Well, my radio's gone off several times.
yeah, they've been busy. May has been very busy. I'm not going to bore you with stats in the April report. Just know that we were up in April of '22 compared to April of '21. That number continues to climb. But I want to talk about some good things that are going to happen between now and our next meeting in June. Lateral folks, we have some vacancies in the organization, so we did some lateral interviews and a lateral process. We're going to onboard on June the 6th to fill the current vacancies that we have. Our recruits that have been in attendance of the North Side Fire Academy have finished their EMS portion, and all of our folks have passed their EMT exam. They've moved right on into hazardous materials, started Monday. Currently, right now at the station, we have our interview process going where we're interviewing for a promotional list for battalion, captain, and lieutenants. And that should be finished up today. And then next week, we have the groundbreaking ceremony for Station 81. So I just wanted to touch on those things and thank you, folks.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions for Chief? All right, have a good day. Thanks. We have next up the police and April's report.
Good afternoon. One thing I did want to touch on, I touched on it today in the all-employee meeting, was the events that occurred in Texas yesterday, and how that really affects us as a city. I know that there'll be questions and reactions to that. So I did want to put out some information to not only the group this morning, but today on as how we protect our schools. So basically we have 5 SROs. We have 2 in the high school, 1 in the middle school, 1 in intermediate school. Then we have a supervisor that's in charge of them who rotates around to the other schools. Also, we have the substations in all the elementary schools, so where officers on the street during their course of their patrol day stop in and do visits in the schools. So, and those numbers are really high as far as, I'm really proud of the job the officers are doing, making that a priority to get into our schools. And they've been doing a really good job of that this year. You know, sad deal. I feel like we're as prepared as a department as we can be if something like that were to occur here. So I did want to just touch on that. Sure.
Dan, I would guess this would cause our schools to reinvigorate their security measures as far as admittance into the schools and such.
Yeah, you definitely hope that. We've got a good partnership with our schools.
Yeah.
Which we've tweaked every year, it seems like, but we have good relationships with the people that are in the schools. There's audits that we perform on a routine basis to ensure that those safety measures are happening. That doesn't mean we can't get better at it. I still think there's probably work there to be done. But I think all the measures are in to for the most part, protect the schools the way we want to protect it. But like I said, I think we can probably do a better job at it.
Thank you.
Joel, having gone through the first Citizens Academy class with you way back when, several years ago, and having an idea of what we do for the schools, for security, and having personally known some of the people involved in Sandy Hook, this one hit home again. You know, we really, really appreciate what you guys in the school board do, and man, please, let's keep it up. You know, this has got to stop.
Yeah, I totally agree. if it's not the biggest, it's one of the biggest priorities that we have is to keep our schools safe. We take it very seriously, and I know the schools do as well. But I think that as we get into the summer, number one, we've really wanted to provide a presence for the remaining of the school year till Friday. And then, we'll get with the superintendent and Chris Baldwin, and we'll really reevaluate some of the things that we're doing over the summer and make sure that we're checking all the boxes. So,
Oh, we appreciate all you do, Joel.
on another note, John Lanning, who we just hired a couple weeks ago, is in FTO, full swing in FTO right now, and Nick Clapp, who is also been approved already, is our last hire of the year. Puts us up to he will put us up to 69 officers. He'll have to go to the academy, which I mentioned last time we spoke, but we're on schedule to probably hire him in June sometime, probably the later part of June. We're currently conducting interviews for our administrative position that we put out. That person will be, probably half of duties will be records and the other part will be like admin assistant. So we're looking forward to that. From what I understand, I wasn't part of that board, but we've got some really good applicants for that position. We, just a couple other things to note. We're starting up, because COVID has decreased somewhat, we're starting up Citizens Academy this year. Pretty excited about that. First class will be September 8th. I think if we're posting something for applicants here within the next few days, I believe. If not, real soon. Also, we're having a dinner for volunteers in policing. These are our academy graduates. Mr. Ake, I believe you've signed up already. Larry, I don't think I saw your name on there yet. So that one is June 16th. I think we're having that at Birdie's. So that's just kind of ramp up the Citizens Academy, ramp up our volunteers again, get them excited to get into Colts camp. So other than that, last week, another update. Last week, we also, like the fire department, we conducted interviews for promotions. And I must say, I'm very, very proud of this group. One thing's for sure, after sitting on the board and listening to all these people that are wanting to become sergeants and lieutenants, we have a really good pool of people. I would not want to compete with any of them. So that went really well. I'm looking forward to hopefully promoting some people here within the next couple months. So thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Public Works, Mr. Jonathan Nail.
So we are under construction in several locations in the city right now. 191st Street in Chad Hiddle continues to go very well up between 31 and Tomlinson. We just did some lime stabilization earlier this week, so you won't see much activity over the next 2 days as that cures.
Why? Because somebody asked you about that?
That's right. Someone asked about why there was no work going on up there yesterday or today. And obviously the rain today is one reason, but yesterday was very nice and there was no work. But that's part of the plan, that we need 3 days for that to cure before we can do a proof roll and start putting some pavement down up there. So that's going well. 161st and Union Roundabout, if you do get a peek of it from on top of the hill there at 31 and 161st, you can see that starting to take shape. So some good progress on that project. And then 169th and Spring Mill, as you're aware, we built the roundabout at least up through the base layer of pavement last year. A rainy fall impeded our progress. So we elected to finish out the surfacing and final pavement markings after school is out this year. So that'll be May 30th when school's out. So you'll see our contractor out there for about 2 to 3 weeks to wrap up that last remaining work out there.
Will that be closed 2 or 3 weeks?
It will. It will. We'll have the detour route back up. We'll be reaching out on social media and, of course, our travel Westfield to make sure everyone's aware of that closure. Fortunately, we won't be impacting school traffic because we'll be on summer break. But I know it will cause some rerouting of some traffic for a short amount of time. Our contractor has committed to doing that absolutely as quickly as possible and getting that wrapped up. So those are the three big ones. You may also, I did get a question about Westfield Park Road. You'll notice that we did some resurfacing out there, both north and south of where the Monon crosses. There's about a 100-foot section that is the old pavement still. We didn't forget that section. That is a section that's going to be excavated out when we replace that culvert here in the next couple weeks. So I just want to be clear, there is a 100-foot section. It's got some potholes in it. It is intentional. We didn't want to pave and then rip out brand new pavement. So that was part of the plan as well. Any other questions about what we have going on?
I have just one little question, probably Joel involved too. Southbound on Oak Street, because of the construction at 161st in the roundabout, that Oak Street 151st intersection is scary. I mean, you know, cars are really flying on 151st, and there's hills on both sides. That may be something that we want to start. I mean, people are coming over that hill, and there's going to be a real bad one there pretty soon. So,
yeah, and I'll work with Chief Rush on that as well. I will say that in advance of that closure, we did a site distance improvement project a couple summers ago to remove some of those trees as you look to as you're southbound looking to the west to help improve that site distance some. But you're right, the vertical curve of the hill does impede some of the site distance there. So definitely aware of it. Long term, we have a curve correction or a grading project at that location. But unfortunately, regarding funding and so forth, we have not been able to achieve that one quite yet, but we'll work with our police department to see if some enforcement can be done there.
All right.
You might mention you re-added an
Yeah.
engineer.
We actually have two new employees on the Public Works Department. We have a seasonal street laborer, also named Michael Truong, and then we welcomed back Michael Pierce, who was a project engineer for us for about 3.5 years. He left to go to the private sector for the last year, and he is back as the assistant city engineer for the city of Westfield. So we're very excited to have both Michaels, but Michael Pierce especially on the engineering side to help out with the substantial workload that we have in engineering. So very excited.
I think you should take that as a compliment that Michael Pierce would want to come back. Thank you.
And he is a Westfield resident, so I think he wanted to have an impact on his community as well, which is a big factor.
Great.
Good. All right, thank you. That concludes our agenda for the day. I'd make a motion that we adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We stand adjourned, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay.
Jonathan, if you have